You think respect is earned by talking, by explaining, by defending yourself, by proving you're right. But that is exactly why you get ignored, exactly why you get tested, exactly why people feel comfortable disrespecting you. Because the faster you react, the more you reveal what you were never supposed to show. That you need approval, that you need to be understood, that you need the room. And neediness has a smell. People may never say it, but they feel it. And once they feel it, they stop seeing you as a force. They start seeing you as someone they can interrupt, question, push, control. That's the brutal truth you may have spent years avoiding. You were not disrespected because you were too quiet. You were disrespected because your presence had no weight. Because every time pressure showed up, you leaked power. Through your face, through your words, through your reactions. Machiavelli understood something you still may not want to accept. Power is not in constant expression. Power is in restraint. Power is in selectivity. Power is in making people feel that access to you is not guaranteed, that your attention is not cheap, that your emotions are not public property, that your silence is not emptiness. It is judgment. In this video, I'm going to show you 7 ruthless silent moves that command respect without saying a word. These are not social tricks. These are power laws. And once you understand them, you'll stop chasing respect and start becoming the kind of man people think twice before testing. Because respect is rarely lost in the big moments. It is lost in the small ones, in the extra sentence, in the nervous smile, in the immediate reply, in the need to explain what should have been obvious. That ends today. Let's begin. The first silent move is simple. Stop explaining yourself. You over-explain because you think clarity creates respect. It doesn't. Not always. A lot of the time, over-explaining creates the opposite. It tells people you are uncomfortable unless they approve of your decision. Think about how you sound when you're challenged. Why did you do that? Why didn't you call? Why are you leaving early? Why didn't you respond? And immediately, you start building a case. You offer context, justification, background, emotion. You don't answer. You defend. And the moment you start defending yourself when no true authority is present, the frame shifts. Now, you look like you're asking permission to be who you are. That kills respect. Powerful men do something different. You need to do something different. You answer simply, or you don't answer at all. Not because you're rude, because you understand something Machiavelli would admire. The man who explains too much places his dignity in other people's hands. He says, in effect, "Let me organize my choices in a way that feels acceptable to you." That is not authority. That is submission with better vocabulary. Sometimes your strongest answer is a short one. Sometimes your strongest answer is a look. Sometimes your strongest answer is no answer. Not every question deserves access to your reasoning. Not every challenge deserves a defense. Not every person deserves a window into your mind. And that's what you may never have learned. Privacy creates gravity. The less available your inner world is to the unworthy, the more weight your presence carries. So the next time someone presses you for an explanation you do not owe, resist the urge to fill the silence. Let them feel it. Let them sit in it. Let them realize you are not a man who collapses into nervous language every time someone demands accountability they never earned. Because once people realize they cannot pull explanations out of you on command, something changes. They become more careful, more measured, more aware of the line. That is the beginning of respect. Here is the second move. Delay your reaction. Not because you're confused, because you're in control. You can read most people in seconds. Insult them, they flinch. Pressure them, they explain. Challenge them, they react immediately. And once people can predict your emotional timing, they can control the interaction. They know exactly which button to press, exactly how long it takes, exactly what kind of reaction they'll get. That predictability is expensive. Machiavelli knew that the easiest man to manipulate is the one whose emotions arrive on schedule, the one who always shows his anger, always shows hurt, always shows urgency. He becomes simple to manage. But when you master the pause, you interrupt that entire pattern. Someone says something disrespectful, and instead of jumping in, you look at them. 2 seconds, 3 seconds, maybe longer. Now the room changes. Because silence under pressure signals something rare. Self-command. That pause does 3 things at once. First, it tells the other person you are not operating on their tempo. Second, it forces them to sit with what they said. Third, it makes everyone watching feel that your next move is chosen, not emotional. That matters. Because people don't just judge your words. They judge your nervous system. They watch how quickly you lose center, how fast you rush to restore comfort, how desperate you are to regain control of perception. And if they see urgency, they smell weakness. But if they see stillness, they assume depth. They assume standards. They assume danger. When you can stay calm while being tested, you always appear more powerful than the man delivering the test. Remember that. You do not need to win every exchange verbally. You need to show that your inner state is not available for public manipulation. That's what the pause does. It tells the world, you do not own my reactions. And once that message is clear, your silence starts speaking for you long before your mouth ever does. The third move is one of the most misunderstood forms of social power. Become selectively unavailable. Not absent from life. Not playing childish games. Not pretending to be busy. Strategically unavailable. There's a difference. You become weak when you are always available. Always replying. Always adjusting. Always reachable. Always ready to drop your priorities the second someone wants access. You call that being nice? But the world reads it differently. The world reads it as low value. Because nothing that is constantly available feels important. Scarcity creates value. This is true in business, in politics, in relationships, in status. And Machiavelli understood it centuries ago. Your presence becomes powerful when it is not guaranteed. If you are always there, you become background. If your time is earned, you become significant. Think about how people behave around you when they know they can access you anytime. They postpone. They get careless. They take liberties. They assume. Now think about how they behave when your time is clearly protected. They plan better. They speak more carefully. They notice tone. They respect boundaries. Why? Because your availability trains people how to treat you. If you are always open, always immediate, always convenient, people unconsciously place you beneath their priorities. But when you become selective, they feel the shift. They realize your attention is not public space. It is private territory. And entry is not automatic. This doesn't mean disappearing. It means refusing to let everyone feel entitled to your presence. Sometimes you answer later. Sometimes you leave the message there. Sometimes you don't attend. Sometimes you say no without decoration. And when you do that consistently, people stop assuming. They start considering. That's respect. Because respect often begins the moment entitlement ends. The truth is brutal. You are not always ignored because you lack substance. A lot of the time, You are ignored because you taught people that access to you is cheap. Change that, and the entire dynamic changes with it. The fourth silent move is this: remove the visible need to be liked. This one is deadly, because the need for approval leaks through everything. Through the smile that arrives too fast, through the joke meant to soften your position, through the constant checking of faces, through the extra explanation after you make a point, through the way you start retreating from your own words the second you sense resistance. People can feel approval seeking instantly, and once they feel it, they stop respecting your certainty, because now they know your position is negotiable, not based on truth, not based on principle, based on social acceptance. Machiavelli would tell you this: if you need to be loved in every room, you cannot hold power in any room. Why? Because you are no longer making decisions. You are managing impressions. You are bending your shape so nobody gets uncomfortable. And the world does not respect men who edit themselves in real time to stay liked. It uses them. This is why some men walk into a room and say almost nothing, yet everyone watches them, not because they are louder, because they are not asking for emotional permission to exist. Their face is calm, their energy is settled, their body is not negotiating. They are not scanning the room for validation. They are there, fully there, without apology. That kind of non-verbal certainty hits people harder than speeches ever will. So stop smiling to relieve tension you didn't create. Stop softening every opinion so nobody misreads you. Stop performing warmth when what the moment requires is calm. You do not need to become cold. You need to become non-dependent. There is a difference. You can still be kind, still be warm, still be generous, but none of it can come from fear. None of it can come from the need to be accepted, because the moment people sense that your warmth is a strategy to avoid rejection, it loses all value. Real respect begins when your presence says, "I would prefer harmony, but I do not require approval." That is a dangerous man, and people feel it without him saying a word. The fifth move is ruthless, because almost nobody has the discipline to do it. Stop rushing to resolve uncertainty. You panic when the emotional atmosphere gets unclear. Someone seems distant, you chase clarity. Someone goes cold, you seek reassurance. Someone acts strange, you rush to fix the tension. Why? Because uncertainty makes you uncomfortable, and discomfort exposes attachment. If you cannot tolerate uncertainty, you will always be controlled by the person willing to create it. That is one of the oldest power laws in the world. Machiavelli understood the force of ambiguity. Not confusion for its own sake, but controlled ambiguity. The kind that keeps people from taking full possession of your mind, your motives, your timing. When people fully understand your emotional map, they relax around you. When they don't, they pay attention. This is true in every environment. At work, in dating, in social circles, in conflict. If someone disrespects you and you instantly try to clear the air, you teach them that tension controls you. If someone pulls away and you instantly move closer, you teach them that distance controls you. If someone questions your position and you rush to make it more digestible, you teach them that disapproval controls you. Powerful men do not rush to clean up every uncomfortable silence. You cannot rush to clean up every uncomfortable silence. You let it breathe. You let the other person wonder. You let the moment reveal who is stable and who is not. This does not mean becoming manipulative for sport. It means not surrendering your center just because the emotional weather changed. Sometimes the most commanding thing you can do is let the silence remain unresolved. Let them wonder what you think. Let them question where they stand. Let them feel the weight of not having immediate access to your emotional conclusions. Because uncertainty creates attention, and attention, when controlled, becomes influence. If you are too easy to read, you will rarely be respected for long. But if you remain composed while others search for clarity, you become difficult to challenge, difficult to dismiss, difficult to replace. Now we get ruthless. Move 6. Withdraw attention completely from the unworthy. Not reduced attention, not irritated attention, not attention disguised as putting them in their place. Complete withdrawal. This is where you fail more than you want to admit. You say you don't care, but you keep watching, keep checking, keep crafting imaginary speeches, keep replaying disrespect in your mind, keep giving energy to people you claim are irrelevant. That contradiction destroys power, because attention is not neutral. Attention is investment, and wherever your attention goes, your power leaks with it. Machiavelli would have laughed at you if you said an enemy was beneath you while still organizing your day around that enemy's behavior. That is not dominance. That is obsession wearing a proud face. Your critics do not become powerful because they are strong. They become powerful because you keep feeding them mental real estate. The toxic ex, the insecure rival, the loud hater, the friend who only calls when life is collapsing, the person who always wants your reaction. Your reaction is the food. Your attention is the oxygen. Your emotional engagement is the proof that they still matter. Take that away, and most of them collapse in your mind long before they collapse in reality. This is why silent men often appear stronger than expressive men. Not because they feel less, because they refuse to sponsor what diminishes them. That is a power principle. If someone adds no value, they do not get your thoughts. If they do not get your thoughts, they cannot shape your emotions. If they cannot shape your emotions, they lose access to your behavior. That is freedom. And freedom is visible. People can feel when you are no longer available for emotional extraction. They sense that the hooks no longer land, that the bait no longer works, that the old door is closed. From that moment on, your presence changes. Cleaner, sharper, harder to shake. That is what happens when you stop giving your attention away like spare change. The 7th silent move may be the most powerful of all. Carry yourself like nothing needs to be proven. Not arrogance. Not fake confidence. Not performance. Conviction without theater. You become exhausting when everything about you says, "Notice me." Your voice says it. Your posture says it. Your stories say it. Your reactions say it. Even your ambition says it. Everything becomes a hidden plea for validation. But when you command respect without saying a word, you move differently. You are not trying to dominate the room. You do not need to announce your standards. You do not need to perform certainty every second. You simply behave as though your value is already settled. That creates a completely different energy. You walk slower, not lazily, deliberately. You listen without scrambling. You speak without overloading the point. You leave without over-explaining the exit. You disagree without emotional leakage. You do not rush to prove intelligence, status, morality, or strength. And because you do not chase recognition, recognition starts following you. That is one of the strangest laws of power. The more desperately you try to appear important, the less important you feel. The more calmly you assume your own value, the more others begin to feel it too. Machiavelli understood that the image of power is damaged most by visible effort. When people can see you straining to control perception, the spell breaks. But when your composure appears natural, when your silence looks chosen, when your standards look internal rather than performed, people submit to the frame without realizing they have done it. This is the final move, because it ties everything together. You stop explaining. You master the pause. You become selectively unavailable. You stop seeking approval. You let uncertainty breathe. You withdraw attention from the unworthy. And from all of that, a new presence is born. A man who no longer looks easy to move. That man does not have to ask for respect. The room gives it to him first. Now you understand the truth. Respect is not commanded by noise. It is commanded by position, by emotional control, by restraint, by the ability to stay rooted while everyone else reveals their weakness, trying to pull you into motion. That is the Machiavellian lesson you may have gone your whole life without learning. The world studies your words, but it obeys your frame. It watches whether you explain under pressure, whether you react on demand, whether your presence is cheap, whether your emotions are easy to access, whether uncertainty breaks you, whether criticism hooks you, whether approval owns you. That is what people are reading. Not your slogans, not your intentions, your nervous system, your timing, your silence. So, from this moment forward, move differently. When pressured, do not rush. When challenged, do not spill. When disrespected, do not perform outrage for free. When the unworthy reach for your attention, close the gate. When the room gets uncomfortable, do not become eager to rescue it. And when you enter any space, carry yourself like a man whose value was decided long before he arrived. That is how respect begins. Quietly, ruthlessly, without permission, and without saying a word. If this hit you the way it should, drop this in the comments. My silence has weight. Because that is the shift. Not louder, not softer, heavier. And once your silence becomes heavy, people stop testing you for fun. They start measuring themselves before they speak to you. That is respect. That is power. And that is how you become untouchable.